There has been a lot of fraction tutorial on the internet and TikTok saying that you could, let's say for example, if you have a fraction of 1 over 8 plus 3 over 4, you could simply multiply this together, which gives you a value of 32. And this one here, you multiply by this guy, which gives you 4, which is 1 times 4, plus 8 times 3, which gives you 24, like that. And then if you add them up together, this will give you 28. And this will give you 32. And that's your answer. But a lot of institutions don't really accept this as an answer because it's not really simplified. Now, in order to simplify this guy, you have to find his factor. Let's say the factor for this one here would be 4, right? So basically 28 divided by 4 will give you 7, and 32 divided by 4 will give you 8, right? Assuming that you can land up with a factor of 4. But let's say for some reason you see, hey, even number, you will think that the factor is 2. So you end up saying this is going to be 28 divided by 2 will be 14, and 32 divided by 2 would be 16. And now you can further simplify this to make it 7 over 8. As you can see, a lot of simplification is going on if you follow this method here. So this is not really an ideal way of doing it. Normally what I expect my student to do would be to actually find a lowest common factor between the denominator. So let's say for example, if you do 1 over 8 plus 3 over 4, obviously to make the common denominator for this, you just simply multiply this by 2. And whatever you do with the denominator, you do the same thing with the numerator. And then if you rewrite this, 1 over 8 plus, now 4 times 2 will become 8, and 3 times 2 is 6. So now, since the denominator is common, you can add the numerator together. 1 plus 6 is 7, and this will be 8. As you can see, this is much cleaner than going in a roundabout fashion here. Yeah, sure, if you have, let's say, a fraction that goes like this, 1 over 7 plus 2 over 5, right? As you can see, this one does not have any common denominator. The only way to do it is to actually multiply this number together. Yeah, sure, you can do the internet way to do it. Let's say 7 times 5 would be 35. At this point, you need to multiply 1 times 5 will give you 5, plus 7 times 2, which give you 14. And this will end up with 19 over 35. As you can see, this is the answer itself because you can't really simplify this any further than that. And yes, you can use this technique on the internet. But if you have a chance to do a common denominator like this, it's best to do it this way, or else you end up in a really curly situation here. And let's say, for example, another example I can show and think about would be, let's say if you have 1 over 4 plus 1 over 6. Almost looks like there's no common denominator because over here you can see this is already a common denominator between these two. But if it's 1 over 4 plus 1 over 6, the common denominator you can make possibly could be 2 ways, right? One of the way would be to use the internet way, using the multiply the denominator, which is going to give you 6 times 4 would give you 24, and this have to multiply by 6 will give you 6. So it's 1 times 6 plus multiply this way, 4 times 1 will give you 4. This will end up with 10 over 24. And you realize that you can further simplify the fact that the common factor between this 10 and 24 would be 2. So basically this one becomes 5 and this one becomes 12, and the answer is 5 over 12. Again, this indicates that there's a better way to do this rather than using a factor way. Better way would be, you know that between 4 and 6, the common denominator you can make would be 12. The way to get 12 here would be 4 times 3 would give you 12, and 6 times 2 will give you 12. So whatever you do with the denominator, you got to do with the numerator as well. So you got to multiply by 3, and this one you got to multiply by 2. So if you rewrite this thing, 1 times 3 will give you 3, 4 times 3 will give you 12, plus 1 times 2, 2, 6 times 2, 12. Now at this point here, you can simply go ahead and multiply, or rather add 3 plus 2 will give you 5, and 12 just copy over. As you can see, the answer is exactly the same, but it's much cleaner.